an awfully brisk morning out here today. The weather is starting to change pretty quick. It got down into the 30s last night. We almost considered covering part of the garden because it was close enough we might get a frost. We haven't been getting very many eggs today. There was only 2 in the nesting box this morning, and I didn't get any eggs yesterday. But I did notice that they've moved away from the nesting box for some reason, and they're laying on the back side of this. So we're gonna see how many are back there. Hopefully there's a lot more, but we are starting to get low on eggs. It looks like all of these eggs are coming from the same couple of birds. I've all just got those white and blue ones. All of our brown egg layers, which we have at least 5 or so, it looks like they have all stopped laying for some reason. There's probably a couple reasons. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm gonna take these in before this chicken tries to eat my eggs. So these brown egg laying chickens, I think we've got a couple things going on with them. Number one, I think they're hiding their eggs somewhere because they don't lay in the chicken coop. They haven't for a while, and they've been laying around. We've found a few in some random places, but I think they've just found a new hiding spot. So we're gonna go look around for a minute and see if we can find it. Here's one of their favorite hiding spots. It's right in here. But there's only 1 egg in there, so they gotta be hiding more than that. Well, I still haven't found any other of these brown eggs, just this one. But I believe that they mostly have just stopped laying. I'm not really surprised that they're not laying as much anymore because it is starting to get that time of year. In Idaho, where we're at, it's going to be different with each region of the country that you're in or the world. Just depends on where you're at. But in Idaho, where we are at, September 15th is kind of the cutoff day for when we have sufficient light for them to lay normal, for them to lay full production. So after September 15th is when we need to start supplementing light. Trouble is, I broke our light last year, this spring actually. I broke off just on the plug, I broke off one of the things. So, I've been putting together a new light. I'm gonna show you this. Okay, we're gonna start pulling out this old light. I'll show you what I did to it. I just got that plug caught, ripped the ground wire off and bent that one all up. So we're just gonna replace the whole thing. I could replace just that end, but we've been using this light for about 7 years. This was my first attempt at making one of these lights, and so I've made a few minor improvements since then. So we're just gonna pull it out and put in a new one that's a little bit better. We're gonna need a wrench and a screwdriver for this. All I did was pull off these wire nuts. So we'll go get some tools, be back. You making me cookies for breakfast? Yes. We found the tools. Ready to rock and roll now. go check out the new one. So I've got a few of these lights out here. Let's see, this one goes, that one. I wanted to show you a little bit of the difference. There's between what I've done before and what I've finished on these ones, the way I'm making them now. There's only a couple differences. One you won't be able to see. It's in there. It is this. It's an improved timer and it's better programmed, so it works a little bit better. The other one is it's an improved light. You can kind of see this one here. That inside there, if you can see it, is that yellow. The one I've got now is a full spectrum light instead of just a regular light, and so it gets more of the infrared light in it that helps these chickens to lay. But I wanted to show you how this light actually works. So I brought my little display model here with me. Let me move a few things and we'll get that out here. Okay, so this one is not fully finished. He still has a few bare wires, but it functions the same. All I would do is just clean it up to finish this. We are going to use our little bowl to simulate darkness. So we got our light here. Let me move you down so you can see a little bit better. Okay, you're not going to be able to see my head, but we got our light, and here is the timer on it. Here is our sensor, photo sensor, I guess is what you call it. So when it's powered on, you're going to see absolutely nothing. When you first plug that thing in, it's not going to do anything. But what happens, this will be our darkness. Once the sun sets, my nighttime isn't dark enough. This is going to represent our nighttime. All we're going to do is cover this up so it gets dark. So when the sun sets, gets dark, a few seconds after, you might be able to hear it. Probably not though. The photocell triggers, and then this waits for a certain amount of time and then turns on. As soon as the light comes back on, light turns off. Cover back up. I think I've got this set for about 10 seconds. So once this triggers, there it goes. It's going to give you 8 to 10 seconds and then your light's going to turn on. There it is. So that sets it automatically. So the way it's set is so that in the chicken coop, once the sun goes down, you have 9 hours of darkness. Does not matter what time the sun sets, you'll always have 9 hours of darkness, and then after your 9 hours of darkness, you get light. And that light will stay on until the sun comes up in the morning. Once the sun comes up, the light turns off. And by doing that, it simulates the sun setting and rising. You don't have this light suddenly turn off at night. It does turn on pretty quickly in the morning. It doesn't make much difference as long as the light does not turn off suddenly at night. If it turns off suddenly at night, it stresses your chickens out because they think it's daylight, and all of a sudden the light kicks off real quick and they can't find the roost. But by turning on in the morning like that, it doesn't bother them, because once the sun's up and it stays up all day long, and so they don't have to find that roost until night comes around. I'm gonna go run and get me some breakfast right now, and then we'll come back and get this other light installed. So we've got something kind of interesting going on. I was getting ready to put that light in the coop and there was quite a commotion, and I found this guy in here. He was attacking everybody in there. So this chicken has laid eggs. It is a hen. But if you look at its feet here, you can see that right there. There's a big spur that generally you only see on roosters. This chicken is about 5-6 years old. She has only developed those in the last 6 months. So we looked this up because she started to crow about 4 months ago. So we looked this up, and a hen only has one producing ovary. And if something happens to it, or with age, sometimes it stops working, their other ovary starts to take over, but it's what they call an oviposity, which at that point it's not producing anything, and it hasn't really distinguished itself from an ovary or a testicle. And so what'll happen is, as it starts to develop, sometimes it'll develop into a testicle and basically make a transgender chicken. We have a transgender chicken. Coming to you from inside the chicken coop. I just got this light mounted. It was previously mounted just up here. This roof slants up that way, so I decided to mount it on the other side where it's a little bit higher. But the problem I've got is that now my cord does not reach out like it used to, and so we got to make some adjustments to get that cord to power up. So there's a lot of things I could have done, but I've kind of had this idea for a while now. But I just want to hook a power strip out here. That way I can hook some other stuff up if I need to as we do things around this chicken coop. We'll see how it works. I might take it out and do something different down the road. But for now, we're going to put this power strip in there, and we're going to make a hole for this to stick out the bottom of the coop, and we should be good to go. So I'm going to drill this hole in here real fast, and then we'll get this mounted and everything plugged in. And then we should have some light in here tomorrow morning, so maybe these chickens will start laying a little bit more. Alright, I just finished mounting this thing. I'll see if I can show it to you. But it's just mounted inside here, and then the cord drops down through the bottom, and we'll just plug it in underneath like we've done before. And we are set. So I just have it 2 screws underneath it, and 2 screws tied with some twine. Because that's how we roll with our baling twine. But we are set in here. I'm going to close this up. I got some new latches for the doors on it, so we're going to start mounting those, but we are done with this light for today. Got one latch on. So with these chicken lights, these aren't necessary. Your chickens will be perfectly healthy and survive the winter without a light like this. The purpose of this light is to increase their production. Some people kind of poo-poo on that idea, saying that it's unhealthy for the chickens, but they've done research and it's perfectly fine for them. It's the same thing as if a chicken lived around the equator. It's going to lay year-round. It's not going to have a time of less sunlight, so it'll be just fine. If you're fine with your chickens taking a break in the winter and you don't need the eggs, that's cool. We, on the other hand, prefer to have our chickens lay year-round. We don't want to be feeding them for nothing. And they will start now to decrease their production. They'll decrease it for about 3 months, and then they will stop completely for a month or two before they start to pick back up. When they pick up, they slowly increase their production again. By this method, they do decrease their production during the winter months, but it's not as significant as if we didn't have a light. So the light helps them produce about 80% of what they would normally throughout the winter, as opposed to completely stopping for several months. So we get a lot more eggs out of it this way. Your chicken is never going to run out of eggs. They have something like 5 million eggs in their system. I think that's what the number is. They can lay eggs for like 200 years. Chicken's not going to live that long. So you're not going to have to worry about loss of the life of the chicken. It doesn't reduce their life at all. It doesn't reduce their health. It just keeps them more productive during the winter. If that's what you want, cool. If not, don't use a light. But I'm going to throw a link in the description to where I sell these. I've been building them and selling them for a few years now. So I'll put a link down there. And I will even put a promotion code where you can go and get some percentage off. You can order the parts and build it yourself, or I can build one and ship it to you. Either way, doesn't matter to me. They're pretty easy to do. You just have to do some basic soldering.
But yeah, you can have a cool light like me. We are done with this chicken coop for today. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe if you have not yet. Like this video. If you made it this far, hope you liked it. And we'll be back with more next week. In the meantime, check the link below. Get yourself one of these cool lights. If you got chickens, it really will improve your egg production throughout the winter.